The Bills put a bow on the 2022 preseason Tuesday as they trim the roster to 53 and assemble their practice squad. With less than a week until the opener, we discuss the moves that got us to this point and what our expectations are going forward. All that and more coming right your way. This is the Friday Night Forecast.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming to rep the East. Buffalo bat with a vengeance. We resurrected the team, man, we dangerous. Watch for these horns, they lacerate and cut. We don't play no game while we play this game. No, I playing us. You know what it's about, you made me wanna shout. They said they're taking out, we took another route. Deuces to the drought. Play through all the doubters, finger pointing and laughing. The ones that was talking that trash are the same ones circling wagons. We ain't having it. Dominate divisions ever since we put the L in it. Knocks the competition out the stadium like hammer fist. Stephon Diggs a grave and he pays respects to the cornerbacks that can't cover quickness, then he catches it. In 1995 to 2020, break the streak. Kept the faith in every season for the team, cause I believe. Taught me no matter how many times you're down, do not accept defeat. Feel like number 17. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen, yeah. What? You got me feeling like I'm Josh. Okay. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen, yeah. Josh. Yeah. Got me feeling like I'm who? Josh. Yeah. Josh Allen. Yeah. Succeed the most in the freezing cold. Break a couple tables in a parking lot with sleet and snow. Yeah. Put the work in with Sean McDermott, a worthy coach. Y'all can get the hands like a Wilson ball when it's Beasley thrown. Yeah. Got so many yards to the point we owning property. I remember haters talking foolish with that gossiping, but they don't want it with Buffalo. Cause when the winter storm hits, they'll be stuck with nowhere to go. Let's play Micah hide and seek. We'll find a week up on the field, say hike and wheel. Unleash the likes of Trey White and Evans, all kinds of D. Back in the driver's seat, a Singletary. He's sprinting scary to carry the ball through the plane. Embarrass these adversaries, prepare to be victimized. We gave New England pats up on their back. Told New York to jet, they left the scene and packed their bags. Went fishing for some dolphins, left them beached up on the sand. AFC East champs. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen, yeah. What? You got me feeling like I'm Josh. Okay. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen, yeah. Josh. Got me feeling like I'm who? Josh. Yeah. Josh Allen.
Happy Friday, Bills Mafia, and welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Forecast on the Cold Front Report. I am your host, Travis Blakesley. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Please go ahead and show us some love with a like, a share, and or subscribe so that you can stay up to date with all things Bills via the Cold Front Report. And remember, you can listen to the show and any other show in podcast form just by searching for the Cold Front Report on your favorite audio app. Tonight, I am joined once again by my co-host, Cody. How's it going, sir?
I'm doing well. Looking forward to this holiday weekend. I'm sure you are as well.
Of course. Long weekend. Got to get out of work early, start celebrating right away.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, before we get going, Guy Colson asked what that song was. Just search Josh Allen, the Kevin Bennett. Good song, good guy. Find him, follow him. But yeah, so let's get into what happened while we were away. The Bills dropped their final game of the preseason with a lackluster performance from the second and third stringers. 24 hours later, the team announced the release of rookie punter Matt Araiza after serious rape allegations. In other news, the Bills trimmed the roster down to 53, including cuts of Raheem Blackshear, tight end O.J. Howard, and wide receiver Isaiah Hodgins, to name a few. The team also released their practice squad retaining most of the fan favorites. And the surprising inclusion of veteran Tavon Austin. Also, Trey White will begin the season on the PUP list, officially bringing the preseason to a close. A lot of news, a lot of moves. Your pick. Where do you want to start?
I think we can start with Matt Araiza because I don't really want to talk too much about it. despicable, the things that come out. I know a lot of fans were hoping that the Bills would probably move a little quicker on it. We're starting to hear that maybe they knew some stuff in late July, but what we've come to learn from this administration is that they tried to do their due diligence and fact find before they move, abruptly. So in the end, um, I'm glad he's off the team. You can't move forward with a player like that. The things that came out were just horrifying, and I don't want to go too much into it. Everybody has their opinion, and it just comes at a time. These things are much bigger than football, but it comes at a time where 1 week before the season, now you're kind of scrambling. So I think the Bills could have done a better job with that situation. But again, in the end, they made the right move. He's not on the team anymore, and we have a new punter. So
Yeah,
start there.
that's the most important thing. We get a top 5 statistical punter of the year previous with Sam, and I'm kind of right with you. Regardless of how it turns out, I don't think it's going to matter in the fact that he's off the Bills. The Bills had to move forward. They can't afford distractions this early or this close to the season, and a day late, a dollar short, whatever have you. I'm not gonna knock the organization. Who knows? I
Right.
certainly don't, and I'm not. I know in Twitter and the rest of social media, everyone loves to champion their voice and their opinion.
Right.
I'm not necessarily about that when I don't know what happened. So
Right.
regardless of if it's 100% true or there's some gray area, you have a short leash in the NFL, and as everyone says, it's a privilege to wear the shield, and you got to represent it. And I think the one thing that was kind of left unsaid was how this happened while he was in college, so the NFL can't really do anything. He couldn't go on an exempt list to wait until all the facts come out. So the best thing you had to do was to cut bait. I hate to say it, but to save face
Yeah.
on this, that's what they had to do. And regardless of how people feel, they were very strong in the moment, and now you don't hear much about it. So I know I'll be curious to see how that turns out, but it has nothing to do with the Bills. Let's move on to Trey White. One thing that may have been missed is the fact, obviously everyone knows he starts on the pup, but the main thing that I want to bring to light is Trey White can't practice with the team for 4 weeks. So even if he's ready to come back in 4 weeks, I don't believe there's a chance of him being in game shape to start the next week. And a pitch count, if that, whenever he gets back. Your thoughts on Trey being on the pup? I'm sure you expected it.
Yeah, I did. No, we spoke about this the last time we talked, and I think it's the right move. You don't want to rush these guys back, especially a player of the caliber of a Trey White. And it's unfortunate, especially with the way that we're starting the season. We kind of have an early gauntlet, and and it gets kind of easier as you get to the back end of the season. So I'm sure we would all welcome him in those games, but unfortunately, that's not the way it worked out. And I think we kind of foresaw it for the most part. I'm not surprised. But again, like you said, it's not just that he's missing the first 4 games. He can't practice for the first 4 games. So at what point do you get up to speed in the NFL? Can week 6, maybe week 7? I'm not too sure. I don't know. I think our bye week is week 7 this year. So there is a possibility that we don't see him till week 8. So we're rolling into the season with the rookies, and we'll see how that turns out.
Well, it's I'd rather it this way than last year. Losing him in the key stretch.
Yeah.
The Bills had a disappointing performance last year against Pittsburgh, and while I know there are a lot of people who kind of were on the fence with the Bills, especially pundits, when we lost to New England. But at the end of the day, that Pittsburgh game, outside of seeding and all that, it wasn't indicative of what could happen. So, you got some young guys. You have guys like Dane Jackson, who has another year in the system, and you got the two young guns who are going to go out there and they're going to make their share of mistakes, but they're also going to make their share of plays. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that situation. Um, one of the guys that you end up talking a lot about, Quessenberry, looks like
Mhm.
he's a starter, just like you pegged him in. Any thoughts on Mr. Quessenberry over there at right tackle?
No, again, it's kind of a few things we hit on, a couple of things we didn't. He's one of the guys. Just another one with Spencer Brown. He's not he's not ready. When you miss training camp, you're coming off season back surgery. These
When
things
you're like
they
seven
need
feet
time.
tall,
Yeah,
the back
right,
is
right.
important.
So imagine that, these tall guys with the backs and the ankles and all that. Anyway, um, yeah, I mean, you have a proven right tackle in Quisenberry. He was a very good player for Tennessee when um, they rushed for 2,000 yards. So the guy's more than capable. He's definitely a different player than a Spencer Brown, who you've touched on before, is kind of that finisher, borderline, might get a penalty, whereas a Quisenberry is more of a tactician, sturdy base, good run blocker, probably not in space, but a solid player that I'm not worried about. And it gives time for Spencer Brown to get his feet under him and probably learn a little bit because, like I said, they're different players. And having some time off the field with Cromer, I think, is going to help him going forward in the future.
I can't disagree with anything you said there. Quessenberry is probably well, not as talented as Spencer Brown. He's definitely, you're going to get a lot less peaks and valleys, I believe, with him. So
Right.
it'll be interesting to see when they decide to insert Spencer Brown, if at all. So
Mm.
that's definitely something. Hopefully there's no need to. I mean, by me saying that is hopefully at a point we get to an offensive line where if it's not broken, don't fix it. And then you
Right.
have Spencer Brown in the ready, and the kid's young. I mean, he's got a whole career ahead of him. So if he doesn't start significant games, which I don't necessarily think that will happen, I think he will. But if he doesn't, so be it. It'll be for good reason, outside of re-aggravating or getting injured again. So moving on, OJ Howard, surprise cut in only because of the cap situation. I think he
Agreed.
was probably the most uninspiring free agent slash uh, draftee or what have you that we've picked up this year.
Mm.
From day dot, I remember people just saying, "Oh, the OJ Howard's out there. He just needs a little time to ramp up, get his feet wet, get you." Well, it didn't change, and we consistently saw him in the fourth quarter of meaningless preseason games. So if you look at it on the surface level of what how much he played in the preseason, camp reports, I think the writing was on the wall outside of the cap situation. What do you think, Cody?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the front office kind of gave him every opportunity to show that past athleticism that he was always, known for. But it seems that Achilles injury a couple years ago kind of just zapped him. I'm sure, Brandon Bean said it went down to the wire, but in reality, and I thought he would make this team, and I'm with you. I thought he'd make this team because of the contract and really nothing else. I thought they would kind of give him some time, maybe the first 4 weeks of the season to try to figure it out and kind of learn the offense and kind of find his feet. But it never happened. It never happened. And Quentin Morris and some of these young guys and Sweeney, they showed a lot more. And at the end of the day, when you sit back and you think about it, the better guys are on the 53, and you eat a couple million in the cap, and you move on. In hindsight, I probably should have personally saw the writing on the wall a little bit more, but
Well, and
I
and
gave him the
also
benefit of the doubt.
if I can interject real quick, last year we had a prominent vet come in and he got the axe real quick. What was his name from Seattle? The
Oh,
tight end.
Yeah, and then he ended up on Jacksonville or somewhere down there.
Hollister.
Hollister, yeah.
Jacob
Yeah.
Hollister. Yeah, so we should next year we'll be on it when we sign a middle of the road vet with a lot of experience. We can just expect
Yeah.
Quentin
But we
Morris to
did
take his
we
spot.
did we did say that they would keep 3 tight ends, and they did keep 3 tight ends. It's just not
I
the
think it
three
was
maybe we
you
thought.
were more conventional. I was thinking the third was Gilliam. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see. I feel like Quentin Morris, while we're on the tight end subject, you know, hats off to him. He seems
Yeah.
like a little Reggie Gilliam clone.
Mhm.
Just on the they're a Venn diagram and they overlap with that tight end slash H back fullback type thing, but he's more of an inline tight end while Gilliam is more of your traditional fullback. Any quick thoughts on him making the roster?
No, I think I don't know too much about his background. I do know that he was a converted receiver, so I think for him it's probably going to be learning more of the blocking. Um, but again, like you said, hats off to him. The guy came out, made a roster, and let's see what the kid can do.
I'm sure we won't see him much, but injuries happen.
Yeah.
He may be that inactive guy. I mean, he does play special teams, so we shall see. Moving on, Sam Martin signing. Interesting way to to acquire, like I said earlier, some guy. I was looking at stats. He's top 5, top 6 in all the major categories in regards to punting, and he held for Prater for many years, who's the top kicker in the league. I guess my only concern would be how long does it take for him and Tyler Bass to get a rapport? Because at at this point, as much as having Matt Ariza and the talented leg, I mean, let's be honest, holding the ball for Bass is the most important thing in my eyes.
Yeah, agreed. But I mean, how how many different ways is there to put down the ball in reality? I don't.
Well, ask Bajorquez.
Yeah, I think maybe it might be a little bit more of he
He's
can't catch the
left-handed, so
ball.
I can attain that. I might have some problems doing that too.
Yeah, and he just had a problem catching it. So
Yeah,
I mean, as long as the kid can catch the ball, that's one thing. I mean, the signing looks good to me. It's a punter at the end of the day, and
exactly. We talked way too much about punters this offseason.
yeah. But I mean, listen, it might be a good thing that we have a roster that's assembled now to where we're not worried about the quarterback or the number one receiver or linebacker or something. We're talking about the punter. So we're at the bottom of the roster here. In a way, he serves his purpose, but like you said, a top 5 statistical punter. Um, the thing I do like about it is the fact that he played in Detroit and Denver. So he can kick in the cold weather, he can kick in the wind, and that's important coming into Buffalo. But other than that, I don't have much thoughts on it. Um, they'll start practicing on Saturday, and they'll get the holding worked out.
Agreed. The last thing we'll do, or the last topic we'll discuss in the roundup, is the Bills keeping 6 linebackers. It looks like we're going into week 1 this way. Again, Balin Spector is a guy who I wasn't sure was going to make the active roster. Obviously, Andre Smith is on the suspension list. Any thoughts on the Bills keeping six linebackers when 2 of them are usually on the field?
Yeah, no, I'm a bit surprised there. Just given the rundown. Obviously, we know Edmonds and Milano; those are our starters, and then we got the 2 rookies, Spector and Bernard. Bernard, I fully expected, as well as Dotson, and I thought, there's your 4, and then Medikevich. So I had it at 5. Yeah, Spector must have showed something as far as special teams that they saw value and they were worried about losing him. Um, this is his audition now with Andre Smith being on suspension. It could spell doom for Smith as well. If this kid shows well in the first 6 weeks, he could find himself in trouble. So, yeah, it's his go out and get it now.
It was interesting because I thought Spector was a guy you could stash on your practice squad. I think many people thought that, but front offices that they'll hear rumblings
Mhm.
They'll get a sense. So I'm assuming he was one of those guys. Him, a Nick McLeod. There were probably 3, 4, 5 guys where they're just it's a flip of the coin of who's staying and who's going. And Balin Spector might be that 53rd guy or 52nd guy at that point in time. So
Yeah.
again, he's there's always these fan favorites, the Black Shears, him, Christian Wade, Duke Williams. So he shined, and I have to give him credit for that. He's always around the ball. It seemed like he was always making tackles. There were plays where I went back and watched, and you got an over pursuit here, a wrong read there, and a lot of fans forget about that. So pump the brakes. I don't think we're going to see him out there unless we're up big. I don't even think we'll see him active, barring injury. But I do like him as a Medikevich replacement because Medikevich is making a lot of money, running down kicks and blocking for punts and whatnot.
Yeah, and you had mentioned that last week that he could be the Medikevich, next in line for that role, which is, I mean, you're probably spot on there. You give him this year to kind of learn the ropes and try to figure it out, and then next year he takes that spot. Again, another player at the bottom of the roster, like you said, we probably won't see too much of him. He kind of reminds me of like a Tanner Vallejo when he was here. A lot of these guys, they just kind of, you'll see the over pursuit because they're just going after the ball and they have that instinct and we'll see where that gets you. You just got to put the rest of his game together. But
I think that gets you a spot in special teams because I was listening to Tasker talk about what makes a special teams player, and he said at this point all the guys in the NFL, they have the talent, they have the speed, they have the agility, the strength, but a lot of these guys have never played special teams because they've always been so good. From high school and college, they never played special teams. So you get this point where there's some guys who think they're too good to play special teams, and that's a quick
Right.
way to get off a roster. And then there's other guys who legitimately don't know how to play it, and it's running into a wall full speed. I mean, you're probably going to get the biggest, the most field traveled, and also the biggest just tractor trailer crashes in the middle. It's a little different now, but there's just people throwing their bodies at each other, and you gotta be a little crazy to enjoy that kind of stuff.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's there's definitely a want to it, and like you said, these guys are, where they come from, they're the biggest fish in the pond, and you got to humble yourself a little bit and be able to take whatever job that you can get to kind of try to make it. You look at Easley when he was here coming out of UConn. I mean, the guy adapted and he made a nice little niche for himself, carved out a good life for himself. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Moving on, we're going to go to our next segment, which is going to be fake news or not. We will start by asking you, Cody. Stevenson never makes the active roster in 2022.
True. I don't understand this player at all. I can't say I followed him in college. I know there was some kick return ability that people were excited about, but I feel like they kind of just used him as like a Game of Thrones pawn to try to move around. They put him on a roster, but would take him off the day before. He's got to have the same surgery as last year. We bring him up. He's not very good. He sticks around. I don't see what they're seeing. Obviously,
But we
we're not
haven't
privy
seen
to-
him. I mean, we saw
Right,
he played
right,
like
but
3 games.
You look at a player like Hodgins, and you see the ability on offense, and he doesn't play special teams. Where here you look at a player like Marquez Stevenson, and he can play some special teams, but he hasn't really shown all that much there. But he doesn't play all. I just don't. They must see something there that I'm not seeing. I don't think no, just shouldn't be on the roster this year.
I agree, especially, I mean, you're allocating a spot to a guy who's injured, who hasn't proved anything.
Right.
Yeah, he's got kick return ability, but I mean, Listen, Shakir looked good back there. I don't need him to take it to the house. I need him to hold on to the ball, and
Right.
we'll see. I was never high on the pick to begin with initially, and I'm high on the idea of the Bills should be drafting wide receivers every year because
Hmm.
that's Josh Allen's bread and butter, getting the ball out to the wide receiver. But he just never really jumped out at us, and it's young. It's a young time in his career. The injury back to back, like you said. He hasn't started a season healthy yet. I know it's only 2 years, but that definitely. I mean, how when your your best ability is availability, and you're not available. I mean, it seems kind of contradictive in my opinion, but it is what it is. So
Yeah.
it's a true for me. I mean, that's kind of I wrote it up thinking like we're not going to see this guy.
It just the fact that the name keeps lingering around is kind of uh, whatever. Listen, and I know I speak for both of us when we say we want to be wrong on all these players that we kind of write off. I want him, if he's going to be on this active roster, I want to see him take it to the house every time. I want to be wrong. If he's on this team, I will be rooting for him. I just don't. I haven't personally seen what the front office is seeing as far as this guy's ability, and I can't really, you know,
Yeah, and he's a late round pick too, so it's not. I mean, we don't have draft capital too much of it tied to him.
right.
Moving on, Benford to start opposite of Dane Jackson. This is a U.
Yeah, it's kind of looking at the depth chart there. He's listed.
You reading the
Benford's the
tea
one that's
leaves?
listed. Yeah, he's the one that's listed behind Trey White, and Elam is behind Dane Jackson. So, are they going to play primarily a left and right? Are they going to? I'm reading the tea leaves here. I'm just trying to decipher what it is they're doing. We discussed them possibly platooning the two of them, and both of them will see the field against the Rams. We know that,
I
but
agree.
which one of them gets the majority of the snaps? What are your thoughts?
It it's tough because I think Benford. Again, we haven't been at every practice. We can only go from what we read and what we hear and what we see in the 3 preseason games. But I think Benford was the most steady of the two. Um, I liked his tackling ability more than Elam. I think that's where Elam shows the most shows that his greenness is in the physical, not necessarily the bump and run coverage. I think that's fine. The coverage I'm not worried about, but if they decide to run to his side, and there's a couple times, I think it was like Thad Brown who called it out. I think he overreacted a lot, but he was talking about, he's like, oh, it won the what's his name, the Baker Mayfield. That was so blown out of proportion when he ran over and lowered his shoulders. Like, dude,
Mm-hmm.
if Elam did anything to him, that's a personal foul right away. So
Yeah,
I
right.
don't fault him on that, but there were some runs where I saw him 6-7 yards down and really fighting to get back to the play. So is he going to start? Maybe he's the first one out there, but like you said, um, we're probably going to see both of them. So
Yep.
for the sake of answering the question, I'm going to say yes because I think he will be the first one out there. And yeah, I mean, well, I'm more interested in seeing how well Dane Jackson plays because there's been nothing but high praise from all the coaches, and the fact that he hardly saw the field at all in preseason tells you a lot. I mean, I know they got to protect him because Trey White's not here, but still.
I do think that Dane Jackson is an upgrade on Levi Wallace. Personally, he's more of an athlete. I think he'll be a steady Eddie over there. He might not be, a huge highlight reel, but I think he'll hold down that side of the field.
Yeah, and he's just as good of a tackler as Levi Wallace. That's what I liked about both. I mean, Levi Wallace did not miss tackles, and that's something that kind of went under. I was a big Levi Wallace fan, but at some point, he's going to ask for more money, and we just can't give it to him. All right, moving on. Andre Smith is cut after suspension is served, and this kind of curtails to what you mentioned earlier with the
Spectre.
linebacker position. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna have something to do with what Spectre does in the first 6 weeks. If he shows that he can play whatever role they have marked out for him, which we don't really know what that is this at this point. If he shows that he can take that spot, it's going to spell bad news for Andre Smith. You feel bad for the guy. He's kind of, you know, he maintains his innocence when it comes to. I think he's out on some kind of banned substance, but he says that he's never taken anything that the team hasn't given him, and that the NFL has not clued him in on what he failed for. So if that's true, you feel for the guy, but I don't know. Listen, I mean, we're not going to say that the stupid cliche again, but he's not here. So your
Yeah.
spot's up for takes.
The only thing that I think the only thing that could play different into this situation is I think they gave a late round pick to acquire him. They traded for him. So there is a little capital in there, but just like you said, I'm gonna say it's fact just on the basis that they're seemingly pretty high on Spectre. You know.
Yeah. Well, we're agreeing tonight.
Yeah.
We are
All
agreeing
right.
tonight.
The Bills. This is a good one. So this is a little bit in retrospect. The Bills
Mhm.
tried to move on from Zach Moss.
Yeah, I think we heard a lot of conjecture about it. I think that Brandon Bean, I'm sure, had some conversations. These guys talk all the time. How serious it got, we don't know. I know there was a couple of unverified Twitter accounts that were kind of trying to run with it. It's something that I had thought about. I think I brought it out last week when we talked about possible trades. And then when I saw some of the rumors come out, I wasn't surprised. I thought that if he showed well in the preseason, and with the acquisition of Cook and Duke Johnson before we knew he was cut, I thought there was definitely there could have been a little smoke and a little bit of fire there, but at the end of the day, these guys have to get what they seem as value for each player. So how far it got, I don't know, but I would bet some money that there was a few talks about it.
I'll start by saying I think there's only a handful of players that Bean would not at least entertain. He'll
Yeah.
listen. I think for just about anybody outside of the obvious few. It did seem like they were showcasing him a bit in the preseason. It reminded me a lot of the Sammy Watkins before he got traded. I mean, it seemed like they were just like, yo, Tyrod, just throw him the ball.
Mhm.
Just throw him the ball. But I'm ultimately going to say no. I don't think they tried to. Was there a call? Who knows? I'm sure there was. But I think the breakdown of the running backs is exactly how they envisioned it. If you are going to go with a committee, I mean, you're going to want your bruiser, you're going to want your home run threat, and you're going to want your do everything. And they got it all. And I think with Singletary's steady climb to being more than just a starter, being more than just a rotational guy, even at that, when he first came in, I think it seems a little bit sexier to talk about moving Zach Moss, especially with Zach Moss's last year not being as good as everyone hoped.
Mhm.
But he looked good, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was calls because he looked good. He looked like he was the guy who we drafted.
Yeah, again, I think it's probably the first off season where he was healthy, or not, coming in from training for the combine and for the NFL draft. And, he got himself into elite shape. So, yeah, here's the hope in that we get the player that we thought we were getting when he came out in the third round a couple of years ago.
All right, very good. The last one was just a duplicate, so we'll just move right on to the next segment, which is we're just gonna get into the schedule prediction. So, how do you want to do it? You want to do it by quarter? Or do you want to just go game by game?
Um,
Let's do game by game. It's odd.
Yeah, I was going
It's
to say,
odd.
let's go game by game. We'll go pretty quick.
All right, Los Angeles home or season opener in their house, which I don't think bears much. I mean, games in California are not. You're not walking into the Lions' den. A lot of talk about Matt Stafford's arm, resting his arm in the preseason already. Kind of wish we got them later on in the season because that's when you're talking elbow. I mean that's when you start seeing the Roethlisberger decline. So what do you think?
This is a 50-50 for me. I'd like to know what the over-under is on how many Bills fans you think will be in that stadium for that game.
I would say there's a healthy 8,000.
Yeah, seems like a solid number. I'm not gonna lie. When I did the schedule, I put this down as a loss, and I only did that really because I had, I'll just come out and say I had the Bills at 14-3 overall and I was kind of almost struggling to find that third loss, and being with the Rams and open up a way to the Super Bowl champs. It was kind of 50-50 for me. So I was going to say, maybe a loss there. But the more I'm thinking about it, they might have a little Super Bowl hangover. I'm going to say Bills win. I'm changing my mind. Bills win.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Bills win. I think they match up well against Los Angeles. Not having Trey White's big, but Cooper Kupp plays the slot predominantly. Will they move him around? Who knows? But Taron Johnson, I mean, you're not going to get too much better than him. I mean, Cooper Kupp is pretty unguardable. The last time we played, him and Robert Woods kind of took over that game in the second half. But all things considered, I think the Bills come out fast. I think they use a lot of what we talked about earlier with Ariza, and just as a galvanizer. And I think the Bills come out, and I'm not going to say they blow them out, but I think they win comfortably. I think they go in there and get the W. All right, moving on to week 2, we got our Monday night home opener against the Tennessee Titans. News comes out, Landry done for the year. That's just bad news for them. I mean, was he the guy who he jumped the snap count, right, when Josh slipped on that sneak?
Yeah.
I think it was yeah, he was a game record for them. Your thoughts on that game going forward? They lost a lot. I mean, this is not the team that won the conference last year.
No, when we finally get to play them in Buffalo, I feel like we've been going down to Nashville for the last 4 or 5 seasons. W. Enough of that. Enough of losing to the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, the Tennessee is always. I mean, I like Tennessee. I just hate the Titans. Just don't like them. I have disdain. And last year was rough. That was, and I believe it was right before the bye week, right?
Yeah.
So you got to kind of sit on that one.
And we couldn't get in the end zone from like the 3-yard line or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think we started off with 2 field goals, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
I was right there with Herm. I was worried for his TV. Yeah, so I'm going to go with a win. I think it's more convincing. You're under the lights, home opener, all that. Moving on to week 3, we are at Miami. They love giving us those early Miami games. Tua, Tyreek Hill, they're obnoxious fans. What do you got for this one?
I have another Buffalo W. The Dolphins, we have their number. Until they show us that they can play with us, I don't give them the respect.
I'm gonna say the exact same thing. It's the same thing, but inverse again. When we just kept getting beat by New England, no one should ever pick the Bills until they show they can do it. And Miami. I mean, I was thinking in the car today. How did Tua become such a prospect? The tank for Tua number. How did no one see that this guy has not so good? He doesn't have an NFL arm, in my opinion.
No, he doesn't. He's got a Trent Edwards arm.
And he can't. He does not. He's not a great.
He's not
athlete.
mobile.
Yeah,
he's not mobile. He's not big. He doesn't have a great arm. It was just a national championship game. Him coming in and kind of
It was the
bringing
Alabama
Alabama
effect.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, you're surrounded by guys that play for Alabama in college football. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm just glad they didn't get Herbert.
Agreed. Or Tom Brady, right?
Oh yeah. Well, now they get the penalties for that, which I love.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Week 4 at Baltimore.
Yeah, this is I have Buffalo slipping up here. Um, Baltimore is not an easy place to play. I have the Ravens winning that division. Can't win every game. Um, I have the Bills losing.
Yeah, I do as well. I think that Baltimore is always going to be a tough matchup for the Bills. The Bills are definitely a physical team. They've gotten much more physical throughout the McDermott era, but I think this is a when we look back at Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, I think we're going to see a lot of good games between the two. We got the best of them last time. They got the best of us the week before, or the year or two before. I think you'll see a lot of back and forth, and like you said, you can't win them all. It's in Baltimore. They're very good at home. They're coming off of a somewhat of a down year, so yeah, I'm gonna give them the loss here as well. The next game is against Pittsburgh, which the tickets are astronomical. It is so our buddy Jeremy's hosting the Bills Mafia homecoming, which you all should go to that Friday before. And I was gonna go there, and then we are gonna go to the game. StubHub, the cheapest ticket they have is $255.
Yeah.
Like row 22, 308, like just not good seats. So it was just unbelievable. But anyway, the game. What do you think, Pittsburgh? Are we gonna see our buddy, or is Pickett start? Or Kenny? What Pickett is that his name?
Kenny Pickett. Yeah, Kenny Pickett. Just to elaborate on the seats. So this is the first year I got rid of my season tickets. It's just it's too difficult coming from New York City, going up there and finding the time. But I'm with you. You look at the price tickets for everything. Green Bay, a couple of those games, I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet and do it. But something around $350 for a lower bowl. So I should have kept my tickets. That was a mistake. But oh well. Anyway, getting back to it. Steelers W. Mitch Trubisky or Kenny Pickett. I think Trubisky will be the quarterback. Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris, they have some good players. I'd be a little bit more on the fence if it was in Pittsburgh. It's at home. I like the Bills here.
Yeah, just block Cam Hayward, and we're good as gold.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple other guys on that defense as well, but yeah, the offense. I'm curious to see Najee Harris in year 2. But other than that, I think this is a good matchup for the Buffalo Bills. So I'm going to go with a win as well. Week 6, week before the bye at Kansas City. What do you got?
Yeah, how we touched on Buffalo playing New England for all those years and not coming out victorious. I think that we need to show that we can win in Kansas City. We haven't really done so yet. We did one game.
1 for 2 last year.
One game when Kansas City was really in the drubs and riding a real cold streak. Again, I have the Bills losing in this game.
Yeah, I actually have a Bills. This is our first disagreement. I'm going to go with a win. I think Kansas City is really just a shell of their former selves going in this year. I see like a 10-7 type record, 11-6. Yeah, I mean that they got a tough conference or a tough division. The conference is already loaded, as we all know. This one is obviously going to mean so much to the team. I know they put them behind us. They talk about how they remember, and they're going to, there will be plenty of bulletin board material there. I'm sure they're sick of hearing how they had the best performance, the best playoff game ever, and you come up on the losing side. I think the Bills finally win a close one going into the bye week, which is week 7. Coming out of the bye, we have a Sunday night game versus Green Bay. Uh, Aaron Rodgers comes to town. What do you got here?
I have another Bills W. Um, Not having Devontae Adams is going to hurt. I look at that offense and I don't see the weapons that A-Rod needs, and the Bills are playing home again. It's going to be a raucous crowd there. Night game. That place is going to be on fire. Bills win.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those that I'm trying to find a loss, but I do like them coming off a bye. McDermott is notoriously good off the bye. He's got a good track record. Um, I think this game comes down to how much improved the Bills' defensive front seven or front six, whatever you want to call it. How much of an improvement in the run game is it? You know how we saw glimpses of it this preseason with some of the starters and some of the second string guys, and they look pretty stout. So as long as we can replicate that, I'm with you. Let's go win against Green Bay. Moving on to the 6th of November, we are at the Jets.
We always play the Jets in November in New York.
I was just gonna say that it's like it's always the first or second of the week, November.
Yeah, very strange. Very strange. Bills win. I'll definitely be at that game. Bills win.
I might be there right next to you because
Yeah.
I've been trying to. I think the last year I didn't end up going because the parking prices are so outrageous. I was gonna take the cheap one and walk all the way, but maybe this year I'll get to it because it's right in our backyard. All right, Sunday, November 13th versus Minnesota.
W. Yeah. Kirk
Cousins doesn't scare you?
No, he doesn't scare me. Justin Jefferson scares me, but I think Trey White will be back by that time. Adam Thielen, obviously. I think we'll have. I think our secondary will be in a good spot by that point, and we'll have the ability to. I'd be more worried about Dalvin Cook than the receivers personally. I'd like to see the Bills show that they can really shut down a top runner. And this is looking way into the future. But again, another home game against a team that I don't think is as good as we are. So I'm not going to find a reason for the Bills to lose. So,
well, I am, and it's dumb luck. They lose this game. Just they're going to have a little bit better of a moment, but similar to when they play Jacksonville.
Okay.
There's no rhyme or reason outside of Dalvin Cook and Jefferson. Those are really your only, one or two or both of those guys go off, and you hit a little turbulence. It's a long season. You'll drop one to inferior opponents. I mean, looking at the schedule, I don't think there's anybody better than us. There are comparable teams, but are we going to go undefeated, 1 loss, 2 loss? I don't know. I'm going to give them the loss at home versus Minnesota. Week 11, Cleveland. No Deshaun Watson. You got a guy who we see all the time, Jacoby Brissett. We see him every year. We see him, but he's on a different roster. Can they muster a win here?
Well, you just brought it up. It seems like the Bills seem to drop a game every year to an inferior opponent. So that being said, no, the Bills win. They beat Brissett. Yeah, I mean, Brissett just – I'm not even going to get into it. Bills win. Bills win.
I would like Brissett as our backup, though. He's got to come over to Buffalo.
He's a solid backup, but I don't see a backup quarterback beating this team.
Well, certainly we faced a lot of backups or backup quality last year, and it didn't happen all that often. So I'm right there with you. We get the W, especially if we lose to Minnesota, bounce back. One of our few back-to-back home games in a row. That moves us on to Thanksgiving, the early game at Detroit. Do the Bills continue their Thanksgiving dominance?
They do. They beat our man Dan Campbell, as long as he doesn't have a real life lion on the field, will be okay. And Josh Allen and hopefully Trey White will be sucking down that turkey leg
Yeah.
once more.
Yeah, and hopefully Trey White is there to enjoy it as well, right?
Yeah.
I really like Dan Campbell. I like Swift, but I don't like him enough to win. So I'm going with the Bills to extend their Thanksgiving streak. The NFL is just going to keep feeding Bills Mafia those Thanksgiving games. I mean, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday of the year. So to watch the Bills play on Thanksgiving, it's great. I don't care if it's during dinner, after dinner, before. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we'll say Southern New Yorkers here, the Giants and the Bills playing on Thanksgiving. There's going to be a lot of people paying attention to the TV down here.
Yeah. A lot of forget about it. All right, we are going into December at New England. This is a Thursday night game. McCorkle Jones, baby.
Yeah. Mac Jones, we keep hearing how he improved so much, and then in the preseason we see that offense looks pretty lost. But the ghost of the New England Patriots of past, I think, has been expunged. And the last two meetings we played them, we just utterly dominated. And there's nothing that was added to that roster that makes me feel any different or that they could stop our offense whatsoever. So another W.
Yeah, it goes to show how much of a paper tiger they were last year. And it's just fun listening to all the reports of what a dumpster fire it's seeming to be for New England, that I almost feel bad for Bill Belichick when he gets out there and has to
I just
speak
hope
to the
it's
media.
true. I hope they're a mess.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't see last year happening again for them, and there were guys crowning them the AFC East champion before that second game we played them. So I agree. I don't think New England has what it takes to beat our starters, especially in prime time. New England. The thing about playing in New England is, outside of the Tom Brady era, it's a wash. They don't. I mean, they are the most fair weather fans.
Yeah.
You put a couple touchdowns on them, and then it's a ghost town. They're leaving by halftime. So I believe the Bills win big there. Moving on to Week 14, we are home against New York. We're approaching the rest your starters period. We're not quite there. Do you see any type of slip up? Do the Jets take a step with Robert Salah this year?
I do think that the Jets and the Dolphins have improved, and I think they'll both be better teams this year. I just don't see enough there again to bypass the Bills and to lose at home. It's not at rest your starters period. It's will be right in the heat of trying to get a home game for the playoffs. So the Jets don't have enough yet. Another Bills victory.
I agree. And just in case if you were wondering, tickets are as low as $34 for this game. Looking pretty good. Just saying.
Yeah.
If you want to sit in the dirty Jers, December 11th. No, I agree. They're
they're in
That's at
Buffalo.
home.
They're in
Excuse
Buffalo.
me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. If you want to sit in the snow, yeah,
If
I
I
agree.
was
They're gonna.
well, I would go to that game.
Yeah. I mean, it's
go to
fun when
every
you
game,
just when you're just partying and then you go in the game and it's like, oh, they won, great. Let's move on. You're not sitting there biting your nails. Miami, December 18th in Buffalo. I mean, I feel like maybe Miami has a chance if it was in Miami, but can you pick against the Bills in December with Miami coming up there? I can't.
No, and again, I think at this point, we're picking win after win for the Bills. We're looking for a reason for them to say, "Oh, they lose here." In reality, they should win these football games. The Dolphins don't play well in Buffalo. And the Dolphins seem to just blow it at the end of the season. So again, um, I don't have the Dolphins pulling out any kind of surprise victory here.
Right there with you. No victory for Miami in Buffalo in December, and that's a to be decided game. Probably won't get flexed. I guess it depends on how Miami ends up doing.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve at Chicago. Justin Fields, is he moving the needle for you at all?
No, no, he's that needle is going.
It's going backwards.
Yeah, again, I have nothing against Chicago. I don't follow the beat in Chicago. I don't know what's going on with the kid. Um, I haven't seen one bit of their preseason games. Last year was pretty awful, awful, awful to watch. I think he had a game where he had one completion. Is that right? Or it was
Yeah,
something
well, he
crazy
had
like
like
that.
multiple more sacks than completions too. I think he got like
Oh,
sacked like
yeah.
6 times.
And the team just doesn't have they don't have the personnel around him. So that'll be a nice Christmas Eve gift. Bills win.
I agree. The holidays keep on giving for the Bills. Week 17 at Cincinnati, Monday night. This one should pique your interest. Now,
Ooh.
I mean, let's go. I got the Bills with 2 losses here. You have what, 3 or 2 as well?
No, two. I have Kansas City and Baltimore,
So if they
and
have
you
two
have.
losses here, Kansas. I mean, I can't see Kansas City being a 2 loss. Maybe they are, but um, I mean, I guess the Bengals are in contention. Who am I missing? Who else? Maybe a Baltimore. Do the Bills have the first
The
seed?
Chargers. I think the
The
Chargers are
Chargers,
going to win.
yeah, but
The
they're still.
Denver with Mr. Unlimited.
Mm, yeah.
Let's ride.
What do you think? Do you think they get the W? You think we're in rest? Are we? Do we have the or the conference locked up? I'm assuming we have the division locked up at this point.
This is a tough one here. I think Cincinnati takes a step back from last year, personally, but they're still going to be a good team. I still think that they're a playoff team. I just think that Baltimore wins that division. Um, I'm going to say Buffalo loses.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a loss. I certainly don't think they're better. I agree with you. I think they got hot at the right time. They got some wide receivers though, man. They got some really good wide receivers out there, and
Yeah.
we're talking week 17, so who knows who's playing at that point. But I'm going to go with a loss there, and that brings us to our conclusion of the season versus New England.
Yeah, that's the one where you kind of think, oh, okay, if we have the division wrapped up. But I do think that there's a couple of good teams. I really like the Chargers this year that they're going to have to go in and get an AFC victory. Um, I have them losing to Kansas City, Baltimore, and Cincinnati. All three AFC losses. They can't afford to lose to New England. So playing at home, I don't think New England has anything to play for there. And I think they'll be trying out some players. So I'm going to say Bills win because they need to.
I'm going to say the Bills lose because they don't need to win.
Okay.
But just on that fact, I mean, if your scenario comes true, obviously, I do believe that they're going to handle business. But I think at this point in my scenario, that you're right. I think I have. Oh no, I have 3 AFC, so I'm in a little bit of better shape. 2 AFC losses up until then. This would be the third.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll matter in my scenario. So we got a loss. So what I'm at 13-4, and you're at 14
I'm at
and 3.
14-3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Losses to Kansas City, Baltimore, and Cincinnati.
Sweet. Well, either way, I'll take it. I'll take 13
Oh
win
yeah.
season.
Oh yeah. I just want that. I want that home field advantage.
Yeah. My pocket may not want it, but I want it. Because I'm going.
I will gladly shell out. I'll gladly shell it out.
All right, so that wraps that segment up. Before we get out of here, let's just do some. We'll do a tweet of the week. Now I got I got a themed one. So one of my pet peeves is Bills fans telling other Bills fans how they need to act, right? It's and you'll get it. So just go into thinking of this, which one is worse? All right, we'll start with this one. I don't know how some of y'all can be so okay with new people just saying I'm jumping on the Bills bandwagon this year. Like, nah, you don't get to jump in when you're Super Bowl favorites. If you weren't there for the lowest of the lows, you don't get to jump in now. Now, what I have to say to you, Mr. Ben, is that you are not the gatekeeper of the Buffalo Bills. I agree with you that suffering for as long as we did. I mean, me and you are prime. We was like we got a little taste of the glory years, and then it just got taken from us. Suffering obviously makes it just that much more special. It's something that won't be replicated. It's something you can't make up. They're not going to feel it no matter what they say. But Ben,
Right.
you're not going to sit here and tell these people they can't do it. I mean, Bills fans should encourage other people to be Bills fans. I'm wholeheartedly in agreement because all I ever did was get made fun of for being a Bills fan. And yeah,
Yeah.
those same people who used to make fun of me, now they got a lot of respect for the Bills. And it doesn't matter what organization they follow. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, going through all those years and the drought, it definitely makes this our current time here being so much more sweet. Like you said, these guys aren't going to experience that, but that's okay. If I see somebody, if you go down and buy a Bills hat right now and you walk past me on the street, I'm still going to say go Bills, and I expect you to say it back.
Ah, good,
Um,
good, good, good segue. You stop right there. Here we go. So to all the new Bills fan, welcome. Someone says "Go Bills" to you, and you don't say it back. Get off the wagon. Those are the rules written in blood on the rock pile way before any of us. So, as
Perfect.
it was, it was a
That's crazy,
perfect
and we
segue.
definitely we haven't discussed this whatsoever.
So I'll give you my take, and then I'll let you go. While I agree it is the correct response, there's been some times where I've been a little inebriated walking through a grocery store, and I've been taken off guard. And I don't know about you, but if somebody says something to me and I'm not expecting it, regardless if it's Bills or not, I'll say stuff, and then I'll think like 5 seconds later, it's like, what the hell did I just say? It's like,
See,
it's
like a
it's
deer in
like
headlights type thing.
yeah, well, it's like you get a piece of candy. Yeah, you enjoy that Snickers. I'm like, yeah, you too, and I walk away. And it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
what the-
yeah. I get what you're saying.
so the sentiment of that's the right saying, I agree. But again, it's like how many times do we see these posts of, I said go Bills to somebody in the supermarket, and they didn't say it back, and it's like okay. But
Yeah.
anyway, I'll give you the floor, Cody.
Well, I mean, you just start doing it. Why not you just say it? I mean, how often are you shopping for food drunk? By the way, you probably come out with like all sorts of snacks.
It's
It's
not a good.
probably not.
It's not.
It's
It's
not a
not a
good
good game
idea.
plan. You don't go to you don't go to the grocery store hungry, and you don't go to the grocery store drunk. But that's besides
Absolutely.
the point.
Yeah. Um, my thought. What are my thoughts on it? That you should say it back.
Well, just
Is that
yeah.
what you're
I
saying?
mean, am I
Well,
am
yes,
I
you
in the
should say
wrong
it
for
back.
even giving any leeway to these fools like myself?
Yeah, you're absolutely in the wrong.
All right.
You should say it back. It's just like the guy said, it's on the rock pile. It's been around for
Peace be with
forever.
you, also with you. It's like oh,
Yeah. I, listen, we have rules, You got to abide by some of them.
all right. It's been said. It's been spoken. So are the Psalms. So which is our tweet of the week?
What was the first one? We're
The,
talking about this one. I forgot.
the first one was this
Oh,
person
yeah. This is the
gatekeeping.
bandwagon thing.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I don't like that one.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
I'm going with number 2.
all right, folks.
Buffalo dial.
Straight from the horse's mouth. You better pay attention. I don't care how drunk you are walking in that store. I don't care what's going on in your mind. You hear "Go Bills," pull that string on the back like Woody. It's not a
If
snake
you
in my boot. It's a "Go Bills."
if you come up to me and I'm inebriated and you say go Bills, I'm going to talk for 20 minutes to
You're
you.
gonna hug me, tackle me to the
Yeah.
ground. Right?
Oh yeah. We'll be talking.
We're gonna go frolic down the cereal aisle until we find some Josh Jacks.
Yeah, we'll be finding a Bills bar, Bills backers bar. We'll be, public house or wherever we're at. We're gonna be talking and hanging out.
That's right. All right, we're about to get out of here, but any last words on the preseason? Take as much time as you want.
No, glad it's over. I hate the preseason. It's good. Some of these guys, they make their dreams come true. Other guys, their dreams are crushed. I hope they stay with it. It's a blessing to even get to that level. These guys are all incredible athletes, and you wish them all well. You hope you can keep everybody. But again, I'm ready for a regular season. So let's get into week 1. I'm excited.
I love the preseason, actually. The minute mini camp is over and we start, they take that break before, from OTAs and then into training camp. It just reminds me that football is right on the horizon. I always have super busy summers. It's a birthday every other week. There's always some sort of party. So it goes by fast, which is good because I'm just, once the summer hits, I'm gunning for fall. I'm sure a lot of people are. I just love fall football, everything about it. But that being said, I love watching guys who, like you said, they're battling for a roster spot. This might be their only time they ever get to touch an NFL field with shoulder pads and helmet on. So I like the nuts and bolts of it. I like the ramp up. So it was a good preseason. It was sad that we lost our streak, but there was no way we were catching up to Baltimore. I mean, that's just absurd. No, I know, but it's absurd, dude. It's absurd.
It's just luck in reality.
It's got to be, or just really your game planning for the. But it'd be one thing if they sucked during the regular season, but they're good. They're a good organization.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you're more of an appetizer guy than an entree guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You like tapas?
I do. Well, it's funny that you say that. Me and my wife love tapas, but I'm
not a big fan of tapas. So there you go. I want my meal.
My problem is to just eat till I'm like a dog, dude. I'll just
that's all
eat, vomit, and then eat again.
Yeah, that's all of us.
But no, I just like all the parts of the NFL season outside of the emptiness after February. So it just reminds me that football's, I'm going to blink because the season's or the summer's going to be over, and then we're right back into football. But hey, guys, we made it. We are less than a week away. The next time we talk to you is going to be on Wednesday, and it's going to be our primer for the season opener. So with that said, everyone have a good Labor Day weekend, and go Bills.
Stay safe. Let's go Buffalo.
Yeah.
You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen. Yeah. What? You got me feeling like I'm Josh. Okay. You got me feeling like I'm Josh Allen. Yeah. Josh. Got me feeling like I'm who? Josh. Yeah. Josh Allen.